In this simulation, I was part of the Chinese official group, and our negotiation strategy was essentially to delay the negotiation as much as possible and build a relationship with the representatives from Universal Studios. So we took an etic approach in this case and implemented the sophisticated stereotyping, also the culture generalization aspects of this framework to guide the delay of the negotiation. For example, often in the negotiation, we would be very vague. The US representatives asked whether or not certain things would actually be possible under government rule, and a lot of times we would respond as we are China or we are the government, essentially sending the message that we have power and control over everything, but not necessarily being super direct about it. Additionally, we talked a lot about family and how they were doing in the country and whether or not it was their first visit. A lot of times when they felt like they didn't have the information they needed about, for example, our number one location, Chongqing, we would delay and tell them that we'd love to take them on a tour of this place. And also, some sophisticated stereotyping that we implemented on our own was Chinese proverb usage. So we understand that in that culture it's very common to praise and worship kind of these really smart thinkers such as Confucius. So we try to confuse our opponents by using some cultural proverbs that perhaps only the Chinese would understand, and I think it worked because other groups seemed to be getting frustrated. Additionally, looking at the other team and our team as well, I noticed that the other team was very much on the individualistic scale when we look at Hofstede's cultural dimensions. They were very obvious to say no or disagree with something, and they wanted to win for themselves, even though they verbally said that they would appreciate a win-win situation, which was not the case. We tried to really show that the Chinese culture was a collectivist culture by constantly referring back to those principles about the people and the social well-being of the people. So looking at their approach, I can definitely see that they embody the typical United States negotiator. The spokesperson probably was the leader, although we were missing someone in their group. But looking at the different dimensions of culture, they were definitely more selfish and more about winning than the Chinese group was. Although they did give us patience and time in terms of building that relationship in the beginning. The people on my team, the Chinese official team, did a really great job. I thought that we were very formal, we were very vague, we always took it back to talking about the people and the culture. And so it's hard for me to really describe an emic approach because we ourselves are not Chinese. However, we did really implement the etic behaviors and attitudes that were described in the case in order to frustrate our opponents and also play the part in this negotiation. One thing that I would incorporate into future cross-cultural negotiations is definitely patience. I think, first of all, the preparation, which is one of the 5 stages of negotiation, is extremely important. And I think in any negotiation, arming yourself with the right tools to come into that so you do get an outcome that you like is extremely important. So in the future, I would probably spend more time with the case, honestly, so I could understand the limitations. And I do think it would be helpful to read the other group's case so you can kind of know where you have wiggle room or where they are purposefully not budging even though they can. We had an example where they did not want to move their percentage in terms of ownership, but we knew because we had the case in front of us that they could do that. So we eventually pushed and convinced them to do so. So I think patience is really important in negotiation. Also, Personally, I think it's important for me to change my mindset about negotiation. I feel like it's kind of a fearful thing because one person wants something and the other person might want something different. However, if two groups are on the same page, you can kind of work it out, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a distributive negotiation. It could be an integrative one.